You Booked It, episode 77. Hey, entertainers and performers of the world. I'm your host, Dane Reese, and welcome to You Booked It, where I chat with inspiring entertainment professionals 7 days a week. By digging into their journey, we're going to discover everything you need to do to have a successful entertainment career. You know, because training usually skips that part about how to actually make your skills work for you in the real world. Fellow entertainers, my drive here at You Booked It is to share the inspiring and incredible journeys of successful entertainment professionals. We're here to support your journey. So go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the You Booked It email community, where we dig deep into truly actionable things you can be doing right now to book that next audition, submission, or gig. If you enjoy this free podcast, please show your support and search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, where you can subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a rating, and review. And now, let's do this. All right, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Chasta Hamilton. Are you ready for this, Chasta?
I am so ready. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. As the owner and artistic director of Stage Door Dance Productions, Chasta is reinventing the dance education model by focusing on character development and community involvement in addition to technique and performance attributes. She is the founder and president of the nonprofit Girls Geared for Greatness and the founder and former editor of The Dance Exec. She is also the author of the new book, Trash the Trophies: How to Win Without Losing Your Soul. Chasta is recognized by Triangle Business Journal as a 2014 40 Under 40 and in 2016 a Woman in Business Future Star. Proud to call North Carolina home, Chasta lives in Raleigh with her husband John and their Scottish Terrier, Elvis. Chasta, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Fill in the gaps. Who you are, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry.
So I have always loved entertainment and the performing arts. Like, it lights my soul on fire, and it has just always been who I am and what I love to do. I started dancing at the age of 2, and my favorite thing to do growing up would be to gather my cousins or friends, because I'm an only child. So I would recruit anyone possible, and we would put on shows and we would perform, and we would just have a grand old time. And this was in Eastern Tennessee, a very small town, very humble beginnings. But it was just so great because it was so pure and creative and imaginative. Then I got involved with community theater, and I was just like, this is so magical. And then I started seeing tours of Broadway shows, and I was like, this is phenomenal. And then went on my first New York trip. And I always knew that entertainment was just such a special place to be. And when I graduated high school, I received an academic scholarship to North Carolina State University. And I was wrestling with this imposter syndrome of, can you be an artist and a scholar? And I didn't think you could, which was in this ridiculous narrative that I told myself. So I was on the track to be an attorney, which in its own regard is slightly theatrical. And it just wasn't for me. So at the end of college, I was like, I'm going to stick with what I love. I'm going to stick with the performing arts. And I felt so passionately about doing that through dance education, because it is what I know best. And that is when Stage Door Dance Productions was born. We opened in 2009, right in the middle of the recession. But never once did I think that it would fail. And ever since that day, it has just been all in, all the way, of how can we make sure that we are empowering and inspiring individuals through the performing arts, because that's what I gained from it. And that's what I want to pass on through this company and through what we do.
Yeah, great. And I love all of that, what you said. And I love that you went into the part about you went to college thinking, I'm going to do both things. I can be a scholar and an artist. And I can 100% relate to that, because when I first went to university, I tried to do pre-med and music, but the music part was so new to my life, and the performance and the dance world was so new to my life that I said, you know what? I'm just going to go all in on this straight away. But I can completely relate to that and how there's a lot of crossover in both of those fields, I feel like, but you got to go with your heart.
It's true. It's that gut feeling. And the magical thing about the arts is they are woven into every piece of our society. And that's what makes them so magical and necessary and important. And I think during this time, especially as we navigate this pandemic, we're realizing their importance more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's move on to this next section here. And Chasta, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
Yes, I'm a sucker for good quotes too. I used to have them all over my notebooks in high school. But this is one that I read it towards the end of college, and it has just been this affirmation that I live by every single day. And the quote is: Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning, a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve. Whether you're the lion or gazelle, when the sun comes up, you better be running.
I love that. I've never heard that before. And I'd love to hear your take on how you've incorporated that into your career and your daily life.
So I think the essence of that quote and what I love so much about it is it captures the necessity of the hustle, right? That willingness to be all in every single day, pursue the passion, elevate it, and know that if you're not moving and keeping the pace and being at the front of it, someone is going to pass you and you're going to get left behind. So it's just a gentle reminder that everybody is out there fighting for something, and you want to make sure that you're at the front of what you're fighting for and that you're going all in.
So good. And it reminds me of a book. Have you read Jeff Olson's The Slight Edge?
No, but I'm going to write it down right now.
Yeah, it's not an animal analogy, but it is the idea that you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards, not drastically, but incrementally over time. And it addresses that whole subject. Wonderful book. Yeah, check it out for sure. I think you'd like it, especially with that quote.
Okay, great. Thank you. And even worse than moving forward or moving backward are the people that just stand still, like the
Yes,
paralyzation. I think that is one of the worst things we can do, even if we're messing up or we're making mistakes, we're trying, we're reinventing. The important thing is that we're moving.
absolutely. Could not agree more. And let's move on to this section here. And Chasta, of course, you are an entertainment professional. I am an entertainment professional, and I'm sure that you would agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there is an outrageous amount of fun and excitement doing what we do, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
I love that question. And one of my friends who's an entertainment professional, she told me years ago, she said, working in this industry, it's hills and valleys. It's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
Mm,
And it's so true. Just that extreme emotional range that we experience as artists working in this as a profession. And one of my greatest challenges was centered around the competitive dance industry. And that's what I really talk about in the book was this hardship of this piece of our industry that the valuation of our educational businesses rely so heavily upon, but it was so contrary to everything that I believe. And making that decision to say, hey, we're going to opt out, and then formulating a new plan that focused on technique, performance, community, and character, a complete rebrand, and then getting to the other side, seeing our increased enrollment, and then also seeing student success outside of that industry and beyond, ranging from national tours to Broadway to the University of Southern California, Gloria Kaufman School of Dance. It's so great to see how we can reconceptualize the definition of success in something. And it was a really dark point that has become a really bright piece of our history.
yeah, I really like that. And I like that you brought up that and how you've transitioned the model of, or at least what I'm hearing is you've transitioned the model of the comp world, the dance comp world. Am I correct with that?
That is correct. And well, unfortunately, like I haven't transitioned the model of like the competitions that exist, but
Right.
I transitioned how we approach our heightened training. So we have an intensive training program now, and we don't do competition, but we reconceptualized how we can train these students at a higher level to be successful in the entertainment industry or to just be amazing humans pursuing a different career as well.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. When you get into the comp world, it certainly has its benefits of being able to push the students to be better because you suddenly get thrown into a room full of people from all over the place and you can see what your peers are doing with your own eyes, not just a YouTube video. And it can help push you, but there's also absolutely the kind of negative side that can come with the comp world, where it can also, and even the logistics sides, I think, can sometimes get a bit wrapped up in the pure finances of it. And I love that you have restructured that. You saw that and you're like, you know what, this is not necessarily the best environment for our students. How do we still push them? How do we get them to grow as human beings and to have that all encompassing in your studio? I think that's absolutely fantastic.
It was a process, and it was one where I said, I need to watch this for 2 years to make sure that I don't have a bias, that I'm not just feeling extra grumpy, that there really is something that can be changed and redone and reinvented to heighten this dance education experience. And it was scary. And I think a lot of times when we're feeling scared or uncomfortable or outside of our comfort zone, that's often when we have the greatest opportunity to find something really amazing if we can just push through that discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's move on to this next section now to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing in the entertainment industry. Tell us about that.
So there was this conflict, this inner conflict that I had of sticking to a performance path or sticking to more performance education path.
Hmm.
And when I started doing choreography towards the end of high school and in college, I was like, this is really fun. And I really enjoyed teaching. Of course, there's the glitz and glam of performing. And I went to auditions and I wrestled this whole do this, do that. But ultimately, what it came down to is the simple moments, the small moments when you empower and inspire a person through movement for me because theater dance is my passion. When you see that light bulb go off and that person recognize the talents that they have, and not only how those talents can help them in the arts, but also in their everyday endeavors by just standing a little bit taller, being a little more confident, that for me is so magical. And being able to do that day after day, year after year, to see a variety of different outcomes is truly so rewarding. And I feel like I have these light bulb moments every so often that are just gentle reminders of, yes, this is the path, this is the right choice, and you're doing what you are destined to do.
Yeah, that's so great. And I love, again, you brought this up earlier, but you said it just now that you love developing these students and these young people into whatever it is they might become, and they discover these new talents or they get a bit more confidence in themselves. And I love that that is so much of your approach as well, that you're not saying, all right, this is a professional school, we're all going to Broadway, that you are developing humans, because I can imagine a lot of your students, you know, doing this professionally isn't necessarily something that they want to do. Maybe it isn't, but they don't know enough about themselves or their skill sets to even make that kind of a decision yet. And that it's about developing the person and then seeing where that leads. And I think that's so important. I'm so glad that it's clearly something that you make a giant focus of your curriculum.
Yeah, it's the humanistic approach. And at the end of the day, when we think about arts and empathy and how they connect us, when we take that and we apply it to training and education, we have the opportunity to reach a much greater audience than if we were
Hmm.
just narrowing in on, I only want to work with kids that are going to go to a conservatory, or I only want to work with kids whose destiny is Broadway. it opens this bandwidth to where you can really share your art and you can train students to do whatever they want to do. And I think the power of the arts is that belief that it keeps dreams alive, and that optimistic spirit is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And let's piggyback on that question and let's talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day. If auditions and callbacks happen to be a part of it, let's talk about that. What was going on in your life and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Oh my gosh. Let me see. I always tell people never to get hung up on any one great moment.
Mm,
But I am going to share just a really incredible experience. And it was past this exit from the competitive dance industry. And it had been just this really intense process where you question yourself and you're wondering, did I do the right thing? Have I done the right thing? And I had a student who had been with me since he was 2 years old. He had booked a regional show and he had booked a national tour, but then he booked his first Broadway show. And in a 1 year period, he booked three different Broadway shows: A Bronx Tale, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and The Ferryman. And just seeing that journey of, okay, like this is what we can do. And at that same time, having another student receiving a full academic scholarship at Duke University. And then also seeing our new intensive training program raising money for these incredible philanthropic organizations in our area. It was just this trinity of everything that I had imagined actually coming to fruition. And while it's not like a booked it moment in a traditional sense, it just felt like a booked it moment to me, like a moment of saying, okay, this is acceptance in this field.
yeah, absolutely. And I would say that is an amazing booked it moment because it was literally seeing everything that you've been working for come to fruition in very drastically different fields and concentrations. That's amazing.
So that was really good. And I directed and choreographed 30 some theater productions in our area between 2013 and 2019. And I just, being immersed in theater, there's so much to be said about the community of that piece of the art. And that's what I wanted to take from the theater community and drop into what we were experiencing in dance. And to see all of those worlds collide
Yeah,
was just really special.
absolutely. I love that. And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And look, it's a crazy, weird time. We are amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
So for us right now, we have been full throttle nonstop since March, just completely pivoting. And I always tell people I can't wait until we're back to doing pivot turns instead of business
Yeah,
pivots.
right.
But so when all of this kind of happened in March, we flipped our programming in 48 hours, fully digital. So we were able to keep our studios, which, like I said, the community is so important, connected in that regard. And we just navigated that for a few months. We weren't able to have our year end recitals. So we changed it to an outdoor film shoot because
Mm.
with screen and stage, if we can't do stage, let's do screen. So we did that, and we've been running day camps, and we're adding academic enrichment programs for this coming year, which again is just seeing the worlds collide. My love for academics with my love for the performing arts. And it's just reading the room. I think that's really important right now. Read the room and see what's safe and see how you can innovate and support that. And I think that's so important for the arts to do. I don't think this should be a pause for the arts. I think it's an opportunity for us to say, how can we still be present within the limitations that we are currently facing?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love that you said I'm looking forward to doing pivot turns and not business pivots. But I love that you have been able to take all of your passion for the academic side of things and meld the two and making things work and continuing. And I think you're so right that this is absolutely not a time for the arts to pause. Sure, there's the practicality of filling theaters, but we can't pause on the creation of art and inspiring people.
It's so true. Whether it's just playing music through these digital outlets or writing a new play. There's so many ways to stretch creatively. And it is hard when you're stressed and you're exhausted, which of course we've all been experiencing in our own unique ways the past 5 months. But I think the arts are so necessary for healing.
Hmm.
And I think it's important that we just band together and say, we're here as artists and we're going to get out of this and we're going to rise above it. And we are going to help us all get to the other side.
Yeah, I love that. And let's move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
I am ready. I love a game show.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career in the entertainment industry?
Financial stability.
There you go. Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
This too shall pass.
Oh, so good. Third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
In regards to the business or personal life or a little bit of both.
Whatever you'd like to share.
What was really working for me was just storytelling. I think telling our stories is so important. That's what connects us. So whether it's relating to person or you have a business and you're using your business to do intrinsic and external storytelling, it's so important that we be honest and open and vulnerable in sharing our stories.
Yes. And the fourth question, what is your best resource, whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, a podcast, maybe a piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now?
The movie La La Land.
Oh, yes, very good. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently or would you keep it the same?
I would be confident in it being okay to not fit in.
So true. Just do you.
Do you?
And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
It's adaptability and it's resilience. It's saying, yes, we can. Yes, we can go big. Yes, we can do better. Yes, we can reinvent. And just to be willing to ride the wave, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, just soak it all in and realize that as artists, we're truly blessed to get to have this opportunity to professionally share our passions for our livelihoods.
Could not agree more. And to wrap up this interview, Chasta, it is time to give yourself a plug. How can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
So I do have a new book. It's called Trash the Trophies, How to Win Without Losing Your Soul. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I also have a website, www.chastahamilton.com. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm out there, and I believe I'm one of the few Chasta Hamilton. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Perfect. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Chasta just said in the description of this episode, so you can easily click and grab that book, check her out. Chasta, thank you so much for being here, sharing your journey. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My one call to action for you is to go to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help advance your entertainment career. Don't miss an episode. We have a new guest 7 days a week. Search for You Booked It on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.